Welcome back. And I'm this time not just saying welcome back to you, I'm also saying it to Pendulum. I'm an excited little boy because a couple of days ago, at time of recording, 31st of May 2025, Pendulum recently uploaded a new song / video called Save the Cat. Which is an absolute banger, and I've not been able to stop listening to it. It's been stuck in my head for days and it won't go away. In the description of the video, it says new album coming this year. The release date for this new album, which will be called Inertia, is the 22nd of August this year. So that's just a few months away now. I'm going by this article on Kerrang!, which very briefly goes over it. There's really not much to say at this point, but it includes guest spots from Bullet for My Valentine, Joey Valence and Bray, which is, I'll get into them in a little moment, AWOL Nation, who I don't know, Scarlord, who I do know, and Hybrid Minds, who I also do know. And also Wargasm. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know how obsessed with Wargasm I am. So when I read that, I literally got goosebumps, and I've actually got slight goosebumps now just talking about it. That's crazy. That's a crazy list of contributing artists. Now, Joey Valence and Bry, I didn't know, but a friend of mine recommended that I check them out when I sent her this new song by Pendulum. And she was like, you might like them if you're into Beastie Boys, which I sort of have mixed feelings about Beastie Boys. I like them in spirit, I just find the voices kind of annoying. Long story short, I've done my research very briefly on these guys, and basically I need to cover them in a different video. Anyway, we're not talking about that, we're talking about the new Pendulum album, which is huge news after, 15 years? Obviously they were active as Knife Party, but it was a little bit different, and arguably not as good. But the album name, Inertia, I think is perfect, because it really fits with the sort of naming theme. Hold Your Color, In Silico, Immersion, and then Inertia. It kind of fits nicely with that. There is one criticism I will say about this. One criticism and one slight disappointment, so it's not all good news from where I'm sitting. The album cover. Hold Your Color, brilliant artwork. In Silico, also very good artwork, very recognizable. Immersion, also really good and incredibly detailed artwork. And then there's this, which, I'm sorry, this is crap. If this is the actual full artwork that they're going with, I'm not impressed. I think this is very uninspired and like, what is it, an eye? What the hell am I looking at? Like, there's nothing. It doesn't fit with all the other album covers. It's just a bit crap, I think. But you know, that's not to say that the album will be crap, because honestly, from what I've heard, it might be their best album. For real. So I mentioned another thing that is a bit of a disappointment to me when I found this out. Pendulum over the last couple of years have been gradually coming back, kind of, and they've released 2 EPs since 2021 or 2 or something, the last four years or so. Each EP had 4 songs on, and they were all pretty good for the most part. There was a couple that didn't really do much for me initially, and then over time they very much grew on me. There's like one song that I don't really like. But overall, a good return to form. Nice to have Pendulum back, thank you very much. But there's 16 songs on this new album. All of those songs on those 2 EPs are on this album, which was a bit of a disappointment to me, honestly, because I'm like, oh wow, 16 songs, hang on, I know that song, and that song, and that song, and that song. Like, I've heard half the album already. Which, if you haven't been keeping up to date with Pendulum like I do, because I'm an obsessed nerd, then maybe you haven't heard any of it, and if so, keep it that way, save it for the album, because it's not going to be long now. I wish I'd done that. I'm not much of... I've said so many times on my YouTube videos that I'm not an EP kind of guy. basically because it's not really much for me to get invested into. It's hard for me to get so excited about 4 songs or 3 songs or 5 songs. I need, half an hour's worth of music ideally. And an EP just doesn't do that. And now I really wish that I'd stuck to my normal modus operandi and just ignored the EPs. Because then I'd have a whole new album to be really hyped about, but now I'm not. Anyway, that's my problem. It's not necessarily yours. I just think it's a bit, I don't want to say lazy, because they've spent a lot of time making all this music, obviously. But when you call it an album, new album, where we've already heard half the songs are already out there, that's a bit poo. So I've got mixed feelings about this, but overall I am very, very happy that we're getting a new album in whatever form that takes. And so a quote from Rob Swire, he was testing how far he could push things with Pendulum, seeing what they could get away with, and this is very, very interesting to me. Quote, "I always looked at the Prodigy as the benchmark. They started out as pure rave, breakbeat, hardcore, but they evolved. They became their own sound. You don't even really associate them with breakbeat anymore. They are just the Prodigy." Absolutely true. Not a lie in that whole paragraph. And the fact that he's always used the Prodigy as a benchmark, as he puts it, makes so much sense to me. Because I wouldn't say the Pendulum sound like the Prodigy, but it's definitely, it wouldn't exist without the Prodigy having existed prior. Post-Prodigy, if that's even a thing that you can say. I'm very, very hyped. And there's also another album that I'm very excited about coming out in August as well, which is a new album from Nova Twins, who I recently discovered. I'm discovering a lot of new music recently, actually. To recap, Bullet for My Valentine is on this album, which is they're on a song that's from one of these EPs, so that's already out there. Wargasm, I'm so goddamn excited to hear Pendulum and Wargasm. I don't want to get too excited, though, because that's only going to lead to disappointment, but holy crap, I cannot help myself being excited about that. That's like as if The Prodigy and Limp Bizkit made a song together. It's that crazy and would be that huge for me. So that's the one song that I'm going to be looking forward to the most. The Joey Valence and Bray song is already out there. Absolute banger. AWOL Nation. Maybe I should look into them as well, because that's, of all of these, the only one that I don't actually know. Scarlord is kind of like, he screams a lot. And Hybrid Minds is like a liquid drum and bass duo. Some songs that we have already heard that are on this album are Driver, Save the Cat, Halo featuring Bullet for My Valentine, Louder Than Words featuring Hybrid Minds, Napalm featuring Joey Valence and Bray, and Mercy Killing featuring Scarlord. Yeah, I can't believe that Immersion was 15 years ago. Do you know how old that makes me feel? I remember actually hearing a song on the radio. I never listened to the radio, historically. I think I was around someone's house in the UK at the time, and they had the radio on, and a song came on, and I'm like, that sounds like Pendulum. And this was before the album had even come out. It was like promo stuff on the radio, probably BBC Radio 1 or something. I forget which song it was, but I'm like, yeah, this sounds like Pendulum, and it very much was. This is how well I know Pendulum. They're kind of one of those artists that feel like they were made specifically for my taste. A blend of guitar-based heavy music and electronic music, and like that's me. That's exactly my thing. You go too far in either direction, and I'm less interested. Right, but you combine them together, and generally speaking, it always works for me. Hence, liking stuff like Nova Twins and Wargasm, for example, or Atari Teenage Riot, stuff like that. It's exactly my kind of music. So this is huge for me. This is a huge revelation that we're getting a whole album, admittedly of mostly stuff we have already heard, but still, it's very promising. Because if it does well, which of course it will, because Pendulum have only grown in popularity in their absence, I think. Maybe there'll be more after that, hopefully so. When the album does come out, I will be reviewing it, as will I be reviewing the new Nova Twins record. Subscribe, and if you want to hang around until August and then check out the video then, do that. That's all I can say. It's just a bit of news, really, a bit of an announcement. So thank you very much for watching. I have not thought of how to end videos yet, so I'm just going to say, go away.